Welcome, everyone. This is David Morgan of themorganreport.com. And today, I won't say special treat, but it sort of is. It's the one, the only Silver is Money, John Perez. And John, just a little bit of background off. We said before we started the interview here, we've come a long ways, because when you and I were looking at the other side of the coin, so to speak, Bitcoin was around $65, $66, $67,000. And if memory serves, I made the statement, if you're overweight Bitcoin, it might not be a bad idea to take something off the table. And of course, all we got, not I would say all we got, some people did it. In fact, you've got a lot of, information from your channel, your Telegram mostly, but emails, or maybe even on your Twitter feed. I'm not sure of that. But you've gotten responses. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I took something off the table, or I reevaluated the risk, which is basically what you and I settled in on. It wasn't so much we're bashing Bitcoin. We're looking at the bigger picture and assessing the risk. And then, of course, Tether is a huge part of that. So thanks again, John, for the work that you do and being, straight up. Do we have it 100% right? No. But I think we're pretty close, especially you go back to the crypto conspiracy number 14 with Kurt Wuckert. And what made me so happy about that wasn't that I'm right. It's that I did my job with you, give you equal credit, that all these things that we had uncovered were basically verified by a man who's an archivist. He is a historian. I mean, that man knows Bitcoin inside and out. But, does he know everything? No. But it was really gratifying to me that we were able to verify for others, because, it's just John and Dave and they're full of FUD and FUD. Well, wait a minute, people. Let's get the emotion over to the left side and the facts over on this side. And let's look at the facts. And the facts are, you are correct. So it's a long introduction, because I'm just know you're ready to start giving us the wisdom of John Perez. But I asked you the last time, $30 silver or 30,000 Bitcoin. And John, you said 30,000 Bitcoin, and there we are. So take it away.
Yeah. I tell you, David, if there was a humanitarian public service award in the silver community, which there should be, you should get it, because I remember when we first started talking on this subject back in 2014, you did talk about the validity of Bitcoin way back. And I remember that. And then fast forward, we didn't just go on and start talking about this. I gave you information, let you feed it, and you finally made the decision to move forward on it. And lo and behold, we started the conspiracy in October of 2021. And here Bitcoin peaked at 69,000 in November 7th, 2021. And here it's trading at what, $29,000? It went all the way down to 25, and I think we're going to go to 32 to 24 to 14, but we're going to 4,200 Bitcoin, and then we're going to zero, big zero here, and it's gonna be hard to deny that. But anyhow, you called it, and countless people, it's thousands now, hundreds who have personally contacted me and said, I saw you on David Morgan's channel, or I saw you on Mike Adams' channel at the Health Ranger, and I sold at 54,000. I sold at 55,000, bought silver. I sold at 60,000, 62,000. Some people sold over 65,000, 64,000, and they jumped into silver, sat on the sidelines, and then they joined Silver is Money on Telegram. And it's the group keeps growing, and it gets going faster and faster and faster. But you called it early. You did the homework. We brought the data, and numbers speak. This was a risk management video. Really, it was really kind of a public service announcement that you put out by putting this series together. It wasn't a trade. A lot of people thought that it was an anti-crypto trade, which it's not, because I know you're a big supporter of precious metals backed crypto. And I believe that too. I think that none of us are anti-technology. None of us are anti-blockchain. I am all for it. And for the record, I know you believe the same thing. If a crypto is backed by a real commodity, a real currency like gold or silver, would be wonderful. That's big plus. If it respects the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that's a big plus. If it respects your privacy, that's a big plus. and it's not used for surveillance and tracking, that is a huge plus. And that checks off all the boxes for support for crypto and any type of blockchain backed currency here. Fast forward, it has been a lot of fun watching Bitcoin do what it's doing. As I said in prior videos, Bitcoin is wreckable, and they're going to wreck it. And I say the next stage is coming here. And what did we see in Luna this week? What I mean, 80, I think it was 80 billion, like 80,000 Bitcoin gone. This headline, Cointelegraph. The Luna Foundation Guard updated the world concerning its crypto assets reserve and shared a promise to compensate the remaining users of failed stablecoin US Treasury. Well, what did we learn? Stable coins are not so stable. I mean, it's bad enough that everyone complains about the US dollar being backed by nothing, which I agree with. The US dollar is backed by weapons and the military, and that's now fading now as Russia rises with the gold-backed ruble, and as China yuan prepares to launch the gold-backed Chinese yuan. But let me read this here, because I believe the next shoe to drop here is going to be Tether. And Tether flash crashed recently, and it flash crashed a specific number here, and it's starting to look a lot like Terra here. I think we're near to that. But Terra here, this is a big story here. The Terra saga continues. This is from Cointelegraph. In a Twitter thread, the team behind the failed algorithmic stablecoin, failed algorithmic. This thing was a failure before it started. Sorry, there was nothing backing it but technology. And at this point, there are 10,000 tokens. So now it used to be that people used to talk about Bitcoin having only 20 million tokens. Well, guess what? There are 10,000 cryptocurrencies, probably 11,000 by next week. Well, it used to be, now there's billions and billions and billions and billions of coins out there, and we don't know when it's going to stop. Actually, we have somewhat of an idea here. The Luna Foundation promised to compensate remaining users of UST, smallest holders first, with their remaining assets. More Bitcoin? The crypto conspiracy is like, wow, we're going to compensate. You lost all your Twitter, you lost all your Luna, and we're going to compensate you with what? He goes, we're going to give you fragments of Bitcoin. It's like, wait a second here. The unbacked Luna is going to give you more shit coins is what it's going to give you here. I mean, Bitcoin is down, 60%, 60% since we started. It's doing exactly what we said it would do. And we haven't even talked about the results that have come in from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial regarding Bitcoin. That has not been publicized yet, but I believe it's coming to the news soon here.
John, let me pause you there. You've done a lot, and just one thing I want to dwell in on a little further is stability or stable coin idea. And if you go back to the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II, sat down the round table, and of course, the upshoot was we are going to make the US dollar tradable at $35 per ounce. So the stability was in gold, and gold has been voted by people of the planet as the superior money for centuries. So that, to me, is the ultimate stable coin. Is an ounce of gold or a tenth of an ounce or a hundredth of an ounce or a thousandth of an ounce. It's stable. An ounce of gold or silver, as I've said many times, has the same mass anywhere in the universe. So that's something that's stable. Now, the people get upset about the price of gold or silver, and I understand that. But really, what are we measuring? We're measuring something that's stable, like an ounce of something, a certain weight and mass and purity, against something that fluctuates. In fact, it fluctuates so poorly that a 1913 quote unquote dollar, is worth about 2 cents right now. So gold is stable. It's just what do you measure it against? And one final word, I want you to comment on stable coins and where you think this, where it's going to go or what the future may hold. And this is not rehearsed. I just want to hear your thoughts. But you go back to something as simple as, a real dollar if you look at the terms of what that purchasing power is now versus what it is over the, since the founding of the Fed, for an example, it really hasn't done that badly. I mean, I can go down to the local petrol station and still purchase basically a gallon of what I need to power my vehicle with the silver quarter. Of course, the gas station attendant is going to take a silver quarter. But if I went to the coin dealer, cash into these pieces of paper and presented those, which they would accept, I really have maintained the value. I think both you and I expect a lot of silver. I don't want to give you too many questions. I really want your thoughts on stability, stable coins, and maybe why the meme silver is money is more important than most people believe.
Yeah, well, I like to go back to oh, by the way, my Twitter was Elon Musk released my Twitter back into the Twitter sphere. So I've been able to tweet your stuff out and retweet. And if you look at my Twitter, you notice that the screenshot there is a quote from Donald Trump. And it's an interesting quote because it talks about silver being money. And he said silver has been money throughout all of history. I'm like, okay, so Trump said that. Yeah. President of the United States, one of the most powerful positions in the world. Trump also is recorded, and I have it on video. He says the gold standard is ready. So with both, you got gold and you got silver. You got a bimetallic system that's development here. And it's always been there. And the quote from Trump was, here's silver at 1650. He said that silver is the most undervalued asset in the world. Now, you look at the ruble recently, that's in the news all over. Everyone's saying, John, the ruble's strong, the ruble's strong. It's like, that's wrong. That's no. Let us rephrase here. The ruble is not strong. Gold has made the ruble strong. Ruble does not make the gold strong. Gold has made that's why it's in the news. You've got basically in the future here, we're going to see more news talking about currencies going up because they're backed by gold. And as JP Morgan said, gold is money. Everything else is just credit. It's the same with crypto. Jeffrey Epstein said Bitcoin is not a currency for legal reasons. He said that. Otherwise, it'd fall under counterfeiting laws there. And I know what some people are saying. Well, John, they counterfeit the US dollars. Like, yeah, but they make the rules and I can't change that. We play by the rules. That's the way it works. And in these stable coins that are, quote, stable coins, we look at them, and from the very beginning, I always thought this was a state-sponsored psychological operation. Every single logo of all these coins is a picture of a gold coin. They use a gold coin. I mean, who was it here? I got this coin here, silver, 1.5 ounce silver here. Every one of these crypto logos, they use a real currency coin as a mock-up to promote whatever it is but there is no metal behind this. You can't print silver. You can't print gold. You can plant seeds in your backyard and grow pot, but you can't grow seeds in your backyard and grow silver. You have to mine it out of the ground. And then fundamentally, again, as Jeffrey Epstein said, because Jeffrey Epstein was the first promoter of Bitcoin, he said, Bitcoin is it's backed by technology. He said it. He is literally one of the founding guys that helped start Bitcoin. And you read all his quotes, it's the same sales pitch that all the Bitcoiners are still making today. And probably 99.9% probably never read the transcripts of the interviews that Jeffrey Epstein made when they first started promoting Bitcoin. But once again, silver is money. It really is. It has been money. It will always be money. And we only have to go back to 1873 when they signed the act of the crime against America, when they demonetized silver. And why did they do that? They didn't do that because it was inconvenient. It was because the United States was sold off in the act of 1871. And following that, they demonetized silver because they didn't want silver competing with the crown in UK, which is a whole nother story. Yeah. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But everyone, if you look back, people are going to say, well, Bitcoin is going to be regulated out of. I think Bitcoin is already done. I think it's already done. Let me stop you there. I hate to interrupt, but that's
the meme I want to continue on, because the number one question I've got about John Perez, when's it coming back? Get him back on, please, 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 is where would he go from here? So it sounds like you're just starting on that meme and just a little coaching here, if you want to call it a little nudge, because that's what people want to hear from you. And, you already said early in the interview, 4,200. How the heck do you come up with a number like that, John? But back to you, please.
Well, it's 4,200. How I came up with that. That number was that number was broadcast by a well-known billionaire. Now remember, you want to know where Bitcoin's going, so I'll keep it short here and brief. Very important to know that Elon Musk has a tremendous amount of Bitcoin, and they're going to report really bad earnings probably in the second and third quarter. During his phone call, Elon said, he literally said it. I have a series called the Rabbit Out of the Hat series. And he literally said, for our earnings numbers in the future, I may pull a rabbit out of the hat. I thought, oh my gosh, he's watching my series here. And what does that rabbit out of the hat mean? He's going to pull the rug out on Twitter, which he's already doing. He's not going to buy Twitter, and the stock's likely going to tank. And it's important to know that there were that when Jack Dorsey left, he left to go start a Bitcoin exchange with Jay-Z. Right. Anyhow, who knows what's going on over there? But who knows what went on in Twitter behind the scenes that Elon may have found out. The rumor is that most of the traffic on Twitter are 5%, 10%. It's all bots. It was used for promotions. We don't know what, but it's coming out. But I said to myself, there's two things that Elon Musk needs in the future. Number one, he needs silver. He needs a lot of silver. He needs millions and billions of dollars of silver. And that's a wonderful thing. Supply and demand. Elon is not stupid. He knows the supply is gone. He knows that the demand is coming, and he's got to get his fingers and hands into the silver. He needs to go in with two fists and buy silver. Is he in the game already? Probably. I have an idea of where that could be. That's a future story. But what's to stop Elon from dumping his Bitcoin? If his analysis, hey, dude, we're up in profits here, and Bitcoin is trending, we're looking at 14,000. Then Perez is saying 4,200 Bitcoin. I mean, I gave the analysis in the last one. I said, if these people see these headlines, 30,700 stable margin call on the average based on what Michael Saylor put out, as a trader, you're going to get out. It's not rocket science. It's like, 10 minus 6 is 4. So it stands to reason that Elon is seeing the same thing. What is to stop Elon from dumping Bitcoin to make up for bad earnings at Tesla? I believe that Elon, speculation, not financial advice, pure speculation. I believe Elon is going to toss out his Bitcoin, is already selling it, and eventually he's going to sell, and he's going to take that money and plow it into the silver game. And I have a good idea where the best places for him to do that are at. So for the future for Bitcoin, number one, these stable coins, DEI crashed today, became depegged. Luna was down, it's 80 billion in losses, just billions. Another stable, we have 2 stable coins down. I believe these are test runs for the crash that's coming in Bitcoin, because Tether is connected to Jeffrey Epstein also. We've showed that in Graph Commons. But what's backing Tether? We know it's unaudited. Tether is unaudited, basically a crypto Federal Reserve. I don't know why people would go from out of the frying pan with the US dollar into the fire with unaudited crypto backed by nothing. Why would anyone do that? That just doesn't sound like good investing advice to me. What's backing Tether? The story goes, according to CoffeeZilla and others, that up to 30% of Tether is backed by Evergrande paper. Well, Evergrande is already bankrupt. They can't pay their bills. But why? So, John, what has happened here? In my opinion, there is a controlled demolition going on right now, because even the losses in Bitcoin, we're coming down incrementally, $1,000 every 48 hours. I thought, look at this takedown. It's just literally stair stepping down here. And while that's happening, they brought down silver with it too. Part of the silver psyop. Remember, they can't let silver look strong while Bitcoin's going down. So they're manipulating silver. We all know silver is manipulated. You have to know this by now. The silver psyop, you covered that also, David. So in the future, there's going to be three things that are going to be affecting Bitcoin. The tech guys already know. Even my Bitcoin chart guy said there's a number coming, John. When it hits this number, I am selling everything. So I can't believe it. Mr. Bitcoin bull himself, we have great conversations. He goes, no, he goes, there's this number right here. I'm selling everything. And I'll mention that number on a tweet with you later. But we've got the chartists are saying 14, 20,000, 24,000, 32,000, wherever. I still think it's going to 4,200, then zero. We've got regulation coming. You see the regulators came in. You saw the exchange letters I sent to you, a couple articles. If your crypto is now on an exchange, when these exchanges go bankrupt, they get to claim your crypto as their asset for future bankruptcy proceedings. So the bail-in is already completed in crypto. You know, so what would you rather own? Would you rather own a piece of paper backed by nothing, or would you rather own real currency like silver? I would say this: if you got rid of your Bitcoin, 66,000, 69,000, you were able to buy a few of these bars. Yeah. Royal Canadian Mint, 100-ounce bar. Now you can only buy half of that, of what you could have had. I think the time now is to get out of crypto and get into silver, physical silver first, get that foundation, and start looking at considering building a position into the exploration stock sector before the rug is pulled out on Tether, and then it's going to be pulled out on Bitcoin. And when that happens, the entire house of crypto cards is coming down, and it's going to look like the apocalypse in crypto land. It's going to.
John, you know, I try to be fair with everyone and everything. And, you know, life isn't fair. I mean, that's the first lesson I gave my daughters. Life is not fair. Having said that, not to pound it too hard, but I just have to bring it up because I saw it, and maybe you have details as I don't. But this Michael Saylor guy has come out and said something about 120K Bitcoin. And he's doing, I guess, a seminar, webinar, chit chat, live feed. I don't know exactly what. Do you have any information on that? I saw that and I thought I must be misreading this.
I saw that and I thought, you know, the problem with a lot of these people that are maximalists, maxis they call them, is there seems to be there's not a balance to this. I mean, it's like, okay, you know, let's say you believe Bitcoin's going to 120,000. Hey, you know what? I think Bitcoin's going to go to 120,000, but you should probably keep maybe 5 or 10% of your assets, 10% minimum, in gold and silver on the sidelines. You got your Bitcoin, okay, but at least have a little bit of balance there. You know, people always ask, I tell people all the time, you know, I want to get in the stock market. I want to go buy silver, gold stocks. Do you have a physical home position in your possession that you have or stored somewhere? I said, you want to have that basis first before you go into the paper world. I would recommend that. But that's the problem here. But 120,000, well, you know, look, their guys are, I've seen different numbers come out and say that they have a margin call at this number or at that number. And then the most recent one was at a margin call at, I think, at 3,500. I thought 35, that's lower than my 4,200. So the numbers are out there. I think that in that case with MicroStrategy, I think he's just basically selling his book. I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, what else can you do? I mean, literally, if you were an owner, they're coming after all the independent people that own their own keys, and they have access. If you look at how the regulators came after the people that did the ransomware on Colony Pipeline, they were able to just walk in there and just open up that account and just grab that Bitcoin. And I tell people, they have the U.S. military and the intelligence agencies. People were wondering about this thing called wargaming. It was all over the news in October, November. Everybody forgot about it. The wargaming, the banking system. I said, well, the wargaming looks like already started. All these hacks, 200 million, 400 million, 600 million. And one day in the newspaper, and the next day it's gone. No one talks about it. I'm like, where's all that money going? I have a feeling I have know where it's going to, but I think the $120,000 call for Bitcoin is purely desperation. And I mean, what do? You're running a company, you're down billion, you have billions on the line. What are you going to do? You're going to say, well, you know, my tech guys today said that, Bitcoin's looking at 20,000. He can't broadcast that. You just simply can't, you know. And this is the difficulty about that situation with MicroStrategy, is that you've got a not a I don't know, a certain a type of asset, a crypto asset that's just technology acting like a commodity backed by nothing and secured with federal securities on the stock exchange. That is a tough place to get to be right now. I mean, all it's going to take is one downstroke of this thing to flash crash down to 20 grand, and it's going to spook everyone. And once Tether goes, you know, there's nothing under Tether. And that still is it's just sitting out there. Evergrande is already done. It's been taken over by the government here. What are they waiting for? I think they're waiting for a specific time and a specific event. Bitcoin's got Evergrande. It's got Tether tied to Bitcoin. It's got Elon sitting on a bunch of Bitcoin in profits. Is Elon going to ride Bitcoin down? I mean, you look at Cointelegraph. It's not me. The Cointelegraphers and everyone out there, and they're all saying 20,000, 18,000, 14,000. So if you're Elon Musk and you're sitting on a bunch of Bitcoin in profits, and you know your car company is going to have bad earnings in the future and you need to raise cash, what do? It's like, well, you sell Bitcoin, report earnings, and go buy a silver mine and buy some silver assets. That's what you do. That's what I would do. Elon, if you're listening, you heard the call right here. Sell that Bitcoin, buy some silver, pay your assets there, and get it in the silver mining business, because that's going to be the place to be. Third quarter, fourth quarter this year, this will be the talk. 2023, it'll be this video today. It'll be future proofs past again. That's what
Don, there's a couple points I want to just go through a little bit further. And that is what you said a moment ago about these exchanges. And, you know, it's their, you know, in a bankruptcy proceeding, it becomes the coin holder of the exchange that has it, not you. And you get in line, and after the bankruptcy is completed, which sometimes takes years, you're going to get your, you know, 1/10 Bitcoin for every one that you actually had on the exchange. So that's a long couple of sentences to say this. You know, this Mt. Gox thing, and I understand, and there's the maximalists especially will tell you, you know, get it on a paper wallet, put it in a Trezor and all that. Look, I understand that. My point is, a lot of people hear that but don't do it. So there's a lot of vulnerable people out there. And as you know, one of my, let's say, longtime subscribers, and this is not the only one, but he was the biggest one to my knowledge, and he wrote me and told me how many Bitcoin he had on Mt. Gox. And if you take that number times 30,000, it's a lot. And he lost it all on Mt. Gox. Oof. And I bring that up to go back to our original premise. I know we sound like Bitcoin bashers. I know that. It's not really my main reason for doing this with John is to mitigate risk. And this is where the millennials, for the most part, I'm speaking in generalities, there's always exceptions, do not understand how to mitigate risk. And you said it a moment ago, and that is you have your 10% in gold and silver. And you want a Bitcoin, you know, be a Bitcoin guy or gal. I don't care. I'm free market. But if you don't understand risk, how to mitigate risk, and what has stood the test of time during trying times, what irks me the most, John, and I'm going to give it back to you, is that people actually believe that Bitcoin is like sovereign wealth and it's going to protect you from uncertainty in the financial system. Couldn't be further from the truth in my studied view. John, back to you on that.
Well, yeah. And then also, you know, a point I really didn't touch much on this. I think you sent this to me. It was from an organization in DC. And I read this. I thought it's called Office of Science and Technology Policy. And it's a DC, you know, think tank, Eisenhower Executive Building. That Eisenhower Executive Building is not any ordinary building here. But there were 3 points they talked about here, and I'll get to your point here. This is a policy. And I've said from day one, this was never about trading Bitcoin or so. It was never about bashing blockchain. It was more or less the risk management side, the fact there was nothing backing Bitcoin, not to mention the Epstein factor behind it, which for some reason, all the Bitcoin and crypto promoters conveniently leave that side out of the equation when it comes to Bitcoin. I don't know why people don't want to be transparent about this or honest about it. And I mean, being genuine about it. If it's there, it's there. Okay. People make their own decisions. It's okay as long as it's out in the open. But this piece here, I have not talked a lot about, but this is going to be policy. And I believe this policy is going to be part of the demise of Bitcoin also. Bitcoin's growing climate pollution problem is one headline. The second one is other digital currencies use less electricity and produce less climate pollution. Expected increase in electricity use and climate pollution here. You know, I don't like going down the green alley because there's still some questions about. I believe we're going into a GSM global, grand solar minimum, mini ice age. But based on what these guys were saying here, policy says U.S.-based Bitcoin miners are already responsible for 1/4 of global greenhouse gas emissions caused by Bitcoin mining. Wait a second. Let me repeat that again. U.S.-based Bitcoin miners are already responsible for 1/4, 25% of the global greenhouse gas emissions caused by Bitcoin mining. 25%. You know, this is, 25% of global Bitcoin mining. This is just US based. Although miners use a variety of power sources to provide electricity for their computers, mining for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin results in far more greenhouse emissions than validation methods employed by other digital currencies. Specific to Bitcoin, the electricity used to mine Bitcoin in 2020 resulted in almost 60 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions, according to one estimate. The carbon dioxide emissions from mining Ethereum and Bitcoin in 2021 equaled the tailpipe emissions of more than 15 million gas-powered cars. There's more to it. Don't need to go anymore. You see where this is going here. This is another headwind coming to Bitcoin. This is not a headwind, though. This is a solid concrete wall that Bitcoin's going to hit along with others here. And once again, we're not against Bitcoin. We're not against crypto. We're not against technology. I'm all for it. I gave my parameters. David, you've always been a supporter of precious metals backed crypto, real money backing a real technology, real currency, silver backing crypto. It sounds healthy to me. So, once again, there'll be no stories like this about silver. Now, someone's going to write, well, what about, so and such mine, they poisoned the water, they did this. Yes, they do. And they're out of business. Okay. So when Bitcoin goes out of business, you'll say, well, Bitcoin, they're out of business too. Someone comes in, it has to be cleaned up and it's remediated but the silver's still there. When these cryptos go down, like the US and Central America went down, tons of gold. And of course, all souls were lost, rest in peace. Of course, it was like, rest in peace. How many people died? Oh, I don't know. 120 souls died. Great. How many tons of gold are still there? 120 tons. Let's go get us some gold underwater. Oh, rest in peace, those souls. Respect. But the value is still there. When the cryptos sink to Davy Jones' locker, nobody is going underwater to go find a jump drive. It's not going to happen here. So back to what you're saying. Real money, people, real money, kids, millennials out there. Unfortunately, the school system did not do you any service at all by not talking about the value of gold and silver. The history books, they wipe this stuff out. They don't want you to know that silver is money. They don't want you to know that gold is money. They want you to believe in something that is able to surveil you and track you, to believe this is money. The problem is it's not money and it's backed by nothing. And technology, just look, all you have to do is go back and look at the tech crash here. And one more thing, Dave, to finish up the headwinds for Bitcoin, which the rug will be pulled out. When the rug is pulled out on Bitcoin, the NASDAQ will crash worse than the 1999 tech bubble. That I assure you, the NASDAQ is going to go down worse than 1999 tech bubble. It's going to go down because Bitcoin and the NASDAQ are joined at the hip. And I figured out the details of that but that's for another video.
Well, I think I go ahead and close this out there. We've had a fairly long conversation. Always respect your time and your insights, John. It's been, and look, we don't, it's not a mutual admiration society, although we both respect each other. I mean,
I like that sound.
4,200 sounds kind of extreme. I'll put that on tape. The amount of carbon emissions, that sounds a little extreme. I'd have to look at the math. I mean, I know you read it straight out. I'm not questioning you, Johnny, but
yeah, we'll post.
So I'll give you a little
bit
of pushback on a couple things that I would still put in the I got to think about it box. But overall, I will say that our basic premise, and this is the third time saying it, we'll close out. Look, people, diversification is there for a reason. If you only ate X every day as your food stuff, you're going to get sick. I don't care how organic it is or how long. You've got to have balance in your life, balance with your food, balance with your entertainment, balance with what you read. And to think that you can be a maximalist on silver only or Bitcoin only or only real estate or only, you're really not thinking very far. And, back to the original chats we had before we decided to do the series was all about risk. It was much more about balancing your portfolio, your investment philosophy than it was about, any particular crypto being good, bad, or indifferent.
I couldn't agree with you more. Although I do like the idea of the mutual admiration society.
Okay.
David, I remember when I first saw you. I saw you on the Why Silver, Why Now DVD in 2005 for Monex, and so that was it. That's why I first met you. So I've admired you since 2005, and I'm just glad to be able to have these conversations with you. And I feel like I feel like we're laying down history right now. I believe this will be historical down the road when people look back at Bitcoin and silver at this time. People will come back to this series here and say, okay, now I see where these guys were coming from here. Yeah. So, you've always been a big believer that you were pretty much the biggest influence for me coming into this sector here and really believing it. And then, of course, balance, like you said. I'm not a silver maximalist. I believe that silver has the potential to give you maximal profits, but I'm not, my whole life is not silver. I'm diversified in some other areas, but I'm focused on the maximal potential profits of what silver has. But I know that those profits will be there. But at the same time, I know silver is money and a currency, and you can't bankrupt silver. Bury it in the ground, someone will bring it. Sink it in a boat, someone will go out and get it. Sink crypto, none of these cryptos, they're coming. Most of them are never going to come back here. Yeah. And as I said before, when Bitcoin goes down, 99% of crypto will go off the planet here. And then one more thing, David, is this. There's a good possibility that the FDIC comes in and says, and the documentation's out there, the FDIC could come in to say, if you want to be an asset, you want to be a crypto, you've got to have some backing to your crypto, and maybe we'll apply Basel III rules down the road. That's another topic there. But anyhow, I just thank you for the entire series. I'm thankful. I'm so glad we got back on. We talked about this 30,000 mark. Now we're here, and now we're starting to see things start to really unravel here in the crypto space. And the crash of Luna, the crash of DEI today, I think these are test runs for the final collapse of Tether, which is going to lead to Bitcoin going under 14,000 and heading towards 4,200.
Great, John. Well, thank you so much.